What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Join Dota League Season 5. This is going to be the Division 1-2 matches, which decide who's going to go in Division 1 and who's going to stay in Division 2, or go down to Division 2, rather. We have aSpera going up against Team Alternate Attacks, though you might know them better as Let's Do It. They just recently got picked up by Alternate Attack. I don't exactly know when that was, but it was relatively soon, so should be a pretty even matchup, as both these two teams did come from Division 2. They were more or less on top of their groups. We'll see how they perform against each other. I'm Mikelorus, going to be joined by GrandisV for this best of 3. How are you doing today, man?
Doing all right. As you already said, both of these teams did look very solid in the Join Dota League season number 5, only losing a handful of games each side, and this should be pretty interesting. Although Team Alternate Attacks, I haven't seen them under this name. They're pretty good in their own right, as are aSpera. So hopefully this best of 3 goes all the way, and we get to see both teams fight it out to the greatest that they can. We're starting this draft pretty early on, but already we're going to see the IO band out. Sniper and Axe are standard enough.
Yeah, no surprises here just yet, and probably don't think there will be too many surprises. In a best of 3, usually you just want to, try to play standard stuff game 1, evaluate what you need to do game 2. If you need to bring out a pocket strategy, or if you just stay the course, then you're golden, and this is looking like it's going to be pretty normal from either side. Shadow Fiend is the first pick. You could grab a Juggernaut or a Bat Rider or whatever if your team alternate attacks, but really I don't think the niche strategies are going to come out until game 2.
Yeah, if they come out at all. For now, we'll see Batrider Vengeful Spirit, the opener, coming out from Team Alternate Attacks. And, well, it's a pretty comfortable opener for a lot of teams, and for good reason. You're pretty much ensuring the Batrider is able to get his initiation off, especially once you get that 4-step up to follow up the Blink Dagger, and you take away one of the greatest counters from Batrider, and also just a decent hero. Looking like we're in for a pretty vanilla draft, all things considered.
Yeah, I really like the Batrider first pick, only when you have the double pick, like you could pick your first 2 heroes, because then you could grab the Vengeful Spirit as well. We saw earlier today in an Asian game where Batrider was first picked, and then instantly the other team responded with the Vengeful Spirit, and then that opens up just a whole can of worms. The hero that you can very easily play around if you have the time to actually draft a counter Batrider lineup, and well, when you pick it up with the Vengeful Spirit, then the counters to the Batrider become a little bit less so. You can still get Yule Scepters, random stuns, Earthshaker, stuff like that, and that could help, but for the most part, Batrider's pick is secured in this game, and aSpera, they're going to grab a Dazzle as their secondary hero. It's a lot of minus armor so far from them, and well, Dazzle is always pretty good when you're up against a Batrider.
For sure, and a decent amount of minus armor too, coming out from Team Alternate Attacks. Both teams are going to be bringing those tools to the table, but I do like aSpera's opener too. The Dazzle's going to offer them some nice defensive capabilities, if only to delay somebody dying. Shadow Fiend can do so much damage in that duration, and if you're able to just let him get off another raise or another couple of auto attacks, that can be the difference in a team fight. So, I don't know, both teams looking pretty solid. We'll see Storm Spirit banned out by aSpera and Bristleback taken out by Team Alternate.
So aSpera definitely a little bit afraid about getting initiated upon. Clockwork should be in consideration for the aSpera side, probably not for Alternate Attack since they already have the Bat Rider, and both those two heroes typically do go into the same lane, the off lane, and man, they just want to protect their Shadow Fiend as much as possible. As far as heroes that you want to be protecting, Shadow Fiend is on the top of the list. He'll deliver you a game on a silver platter if you protect him, but if you don't, he sometimes just doesn't do anything, and Storm Spirit, Spirit Breaker are definitely the types of heroes who can make sure that Shadow Fiend doesn't get off to a good start.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting to see Spirit Breaker banned out at all, really, but yeah, as you said, this is mostly just to protect the Shadow Fiend, or at least that's probably the thought. We'll see a bunch of offlaners banned out by Team Alternate Attacks, with Bristleback and Tidehunter taken out of the pool. Clockwork's been left in, but even more interesting still is that we see a Tusk picked up by aSpera.
So this is Tusk into Alina, which typically you don't want to be doing. One of the easy ways to counter Tusk in the early stages is that if you're anticipating Snowball, you get heroes who can make use of the fact that the enemies are going to be clumped up. LSA is a pretty good skill against that. Also looking at Fissure, Burrow Strike, Lion Impale, skills around those lines for alternate attacks that if you're not getting hit by the Snowball, you'll be easily able to bail out your allies with. But this does put aSpera on a very aggressive track, and it's not to say that Alternate Attack are not going to be playing aggressively with the Lina as maybe one of their cores. They can bring the heat as well, kind of no Lina pun intended, but for both sides, it looks like they're going to be pretty aggressively looking for these kills.
Yeah, I definitely think that's fair. For the time being, I think it's pretty safe to assume that this is a Lina mid, and now with the Witch Doctor too, it looks like that is going to be the course of action. A pretty standard matchup, or at least it has been in the last couple of weeks against Shadow Fiend, and a pretty even one at that too. Witch Doctor, following up from Team Alternate's going to offer them a decent amount of damage, and well, aSpera, they're going to pick up a Slardar. If they weren't aggressive already, they're now incredibly so.
You know what I said about pocket strategies not coming out until game 2? I was just kidding about that. I wasn't really being serious because we got mass minus armor coming out from aSpera. We got the Presence of the Dark Lord, which is a hell of a lot, Amplified Damage, which is a broken amount of minus armor, and the Weave, which probably isn't going to be coming out in the early stages, but later on that could really put the hurt onto alternate attacks. And if you look at alternate attacks heroes, they are not exactly what I would call durable heroes. Like, Lina, her survivability comes from her movement speed and Blink Dagger / Yule Scepter. If you get on top of her with a Slardar with a Blink Crush, rest in peace, Lina. There's not much that you could do about that once there's a fish in your face. And with a Tusk, the Slardar doesn't exactly need a Blink Dagger to accomplish that. So, aSpera, they're going to play this pretty aggressively, and they don't even have to go for even more minus armor. With the minus armor that they have, they'll be able to kill alternate attacks, and they'll be able to take a fairly quick Roshan.
Yeah, and that's very scary. The minus armor on aSpera's side is to a point where even building plate mails isn't going to be enough to save you, as they can very easily get upwards of 50 minus armor, which is absurd. As you've already said, the HP pools on Team Alternate Attacks are not that great, and early game especially, if Witch Doctor gets caught out, or Vengeful Spirit even, they'll be ripped apart. Night Stalker the Band coming out from Team Alternate, they'll pick up the Faceless Void, and aSpera ban out the Jug last.
The new Faceless Void, haven't seen him yet from a casting position. Looks very smiley. Omni Knight is the pick for aSpera. It's going to be perhaps awkward lanes, or at least semi-awkward lanes for the aSpera side, as two of their core heroes in the Omni Knight and the Slardar are both melee, and that's not exactly ideal, but they have so much burst damage with the Snowball combination. The counter that alternate attacks have is the fact that they'll have a Lina LSA, a Cask, and that's fine to help bail your allies out, but if you snowball into a Crush, that in and of itself is dangerous. Snowballing into Crush, into Shadow Wave, into Purification, and there's absolutely no way that anyone can survive that combo. So if aSpera do end up doing that once or twice, then they could look at 1 or 2 kills.
Yeah, very easily too. aSpera's lineup, they have a lot of synergy as a group. I'm not sure if they're going to be able to put it all together, but I really do like their lineup. I think it's a lot of fun to watch. Team Alternate, however, if they get to a point where Faceless Void is sitting on a large amount of farm and Lina gets her levels, they can pump a lot of damage into the Chronosphere, so maybe their initiation power is going to be enough to pull them over the edge. We'll have to see how these first couple of ganks coming out from aSpera are going to land out. To introduce their lineup, they're going to be playing on the Dire side with Captain Love handling the Tusk, going out towards the top lane, followed by the Apathy on the Omni Knight. In fact, the entire team is following them. aSpera going to be playing on the Shadow Fiend, Hakan on the Slardar, and last but not least, Smiley on the Dazzle.
And for the alternate attack side, we got Nisha, who's going to be going right now up towards top as Vengeful Spirit. Supreme is going to be playing the Lina mid. Batrider already clearing out a little bit of these trees to help with the pulls. Sasu is going to be handling that hero. And then we got Lisa on the Witch Doctor and Exotic Deer on the Faceless Void. This is perhaps going to be a Void game where he needs to build a little bit more damage than ordinary. The late game damage potential of aSpera, we already mentioned, is going to be enormous. And well, as nice as it is to have a Lina core, if she is as durable as we expect her to be in this game, then you can't really depend on her to get a steady stream of damage output. So Exotic Deer, he's going to need a lot of farm, and aSpera, well, they're roaming around as a big group. I don't know if they're going to let this Faceless Void free farm.
No, I don't expect that either. They'll look for the top bounty rune, it seems, but for the time being, they're not going to spot eyes onto anybody, but yeah, it looks like this is going to be uncontested. Either side just going to pick up 1 bounty rune apiece with no real major contention. So pretty vanilla there. Looks like both of the mid laners are going to get that extra infusion of gold. Lina picking up the one down towards bottom and Shadow Fiend towards top.
Alright, so pretty even stuff there. Both these heroes looking for their bottles. aSpera going to grab his a little bit earlier, going for a little bit of a lesser stat build. I mean, fewer stats there, whereas Lina bought the Null Talisman. It's probably not going to make too much of a difference, but Lina, if she does slow down the Shadow Fiend within levels 1 through 3, then Supreme can just take a firm hold of this game. The threat of LSA into Dragon Slave, though it won't outright kill the Shadow Fiend, is, you know, pretty easy for Supreme to land if you get a good read on the Shadow Fiend. If she lands it once or twice, then Shadow Fiend is really going to be hurting. But Shadow Fiend is going to have backup. Already we see a smoke up, Smiley, Captain Love, ready to snowball into this Lina. And if they do, 1 or 2 raises most assuredly going to land. They're instead going to back off, and they catch eyes onto the Venge. Or they don't. They see all these trees missing, and they don't see the Venge? I thought they saw her.
I'm pretty sure that they spotted eyes onto the Vengeful Spirit, but just deciding not to go for it. It's not the easiest of kills, I suppose, with just the Dazzle and Tusk being close by. They'll offer their support to the Apathy, and now we're going to snowball in, going straight onto the Witch Doctor. They have a heal, and they're going to drop him to about half HP, but it looks like that's all that's going to occur. In fact, Smiley's dropping very low in return. We have a very awkward pause, but I think that's about all she wrote. The Magic Missile has already been spent.
Yeah, and they can't really get any much else. The burst combo of aSpera not in its entirety there, as they were missing that extra Purify hit and, you know, a couple more right clicks perhaps. If they really wanted to get that kill, they probably could have tried a little bit harder, but the Omni Knight is getting a lot of help in this lane, and he definitely needs the help. Alternate attack, I don't really know if they could replicate that amount of aggression. They're going to catch a stun onto Captain Love, which will bounce to him twice. Purify will keep him healthy enough. However, Time Walk in from Exotic Deer will draw them first blood. Elisash is going to draw that one, and now they're looking for a little bit more. Apathy has another Purify cooling down, and Tusk is actually going to be the casualty off of a paralyzing cask. If you could manage to stun someone twice at level 1, they're going to be so happy about that.
It's going to end up being a try versus try as the Dazzle and Tusk going to again resume their positions inside this bottom lane. Omni Knight's actually going to go up towards top, however, as Khan's going to TP down here, so well, after a little bit of lane swaps, aSpera are going to go fully aggressive. The Snowball into Crush combination is very scary if they can pull that off or isolate somebody, but as we've seen, Magic Missile and Cask are pretty disruptive. Snowball straight onto the Witch Doctor, into the Heal Bomb Crush. Oh my goodness, that was a lot of damage. She ceased to exist. They'll be able to get out, it seems, even though Slardar gets bashed on the retreat.
See, that's a little bit more of the combo that I was expecting. Of course, the Slardar with that Crush, it's a lot easier to make work than an Omni Knight who has to follow the Snowball in. Yeah, your Omni Knight doesn't really want to be in the Snowball, at least not at this stage of the game, so the combo kind of plays itself. And the kill potential on the bottom lane clearly has drastically increased by aSpera. Up towards top, Omni Knight level 3 versus Batrider level 3. Omni Knight already does have those sticks up, so he'll have a steady stream of mana for repels, for purifies, for whatever. And though it is possible for the Apathy to die, it's not the worst lane for the Omni Knight.
No, it's not. At the very least, you should be able to get experience, and 9 times out of 10, Repel keeps you safe inside this lane situation. Another Snowball bottom, this time onto the Exotic Deer. They'll be able to get the stun off, but the Ice Shards are a little off the mark, and now with the Magic Missile as well as the Cask, they'll be able to turn and kill the Dazzle, and maybe even get Captain Love. One more auto attack is all that they need. The Maledict damage is going to be there. Crush lands on the 3 as Khan tries to make his way out, and he is going to succeed in doing that, but bottom lane is going pretty subpar for aSpera.
That's what happens when you try to dive a tower into a Faceless Void, who has Time Walk, so they very well knew that that was what they were getting themselves into. You don't easily go for that type of combo if you know that the enemy has some sort of blink effect, and clearly the Faceless Void does, so aSpera were kind of asking for that one. They need to use that combo onto one of the stunners. If they connect, oh, they're going to try to go for Exotic Deer one more time. Crush is there, Heal Bomb as well, but they just fall short. Time Walk out is going to keep the Faceless Void safe. They have to go for these support heroes. Not only are they easier to kill, but they're the ones who are saving the Faceless Void. So, I mean, as appealing as it is to try to get the kill on the enemy carry, it's just not viable to a certain point.
No, it's not. Mid lane matchup. A little bit of a slugfest going between Supreme and Iceberg. Long Raise is going to land into the Lina, and she needs to tread carefully. But for the most part, this mid lane matchup is pretty even, although Shadow Fiend is starting to pull ahead.
And that's probably going to be expected. Lina has a little bit more kill potential once she hits level 6, but with double raises clearing the entire creep wave, there's not much that you could do as Lina. You have to accept the fact that you're going to be lasting under your tower, and then that just gets to be a lot more difficult. Most likely you're going to fall behind in CS, and, well, things just get harder from there. But Shadow Fiend doing decently over in the mid lane. Top lane, Batrider is leading the Omni Knight, albeit slightly in bottom lane. It's pretty much just a powder keg here from aSpera. At the very least, they're keeping Exotic Deer more or less off of the creep wave, so denying the Faceless Void's farm, always worthwhile.
Yeah, although he's still getting a decent amount. Since he hasn't died and been involved in 3 of the kills, I think Exotic Deer is pretty comfortable here. We'll have to see if aSpera are able to, I don't know, get the fruits of their aggressive combination. any further. Vengeful Spirits rotated off of the bottom lane, potentially looking for a wraparound onto the SF. If they can connect with the Magic Missile, LSA, and, well, the fallout from Lina is immense. Although it doesn't look like she has mana for her full combination at the moment, even just the LSA Dragon Slave might be enough.
And Iceberg just saw the Vengeful Spirit move into the current position, so there's no chance that Nisha is going to get away with this. She's going to get the magic... Oh, what? How do you... What? How do you miss that, man? Seriously.
I really don't know. It's going to be a free kill for Iceberg nonetheless. The Vengeful Spirit probably should have known that she was spotted. I honestly don't know what just happened. Either way, I don't think that's going to affect them too much in the long run, but it's very unfortunate.
We're just going to pretend that that didn't happen for the Vengeful Spirit's sake, because that's kind of embarrassing. Up towards top, looks like Sasu getting into a fight with the Apathy. Level 2 degen is there, and Sasu luckily does have enough Firefly to get himself down to the low ground. Has to get some teleportation support, though, from the Vengeful Spirit. And as nice as it is for the Batrider to have that, this is one fewer hero to help out against the bottom lane, which is still just as dangerous, if not even more so. So, yeah, that Vengeful Spirit death, definitely not good. Now the Shadow Fiend has 2,000 gold. He could go for pretty much whatever he wants right now. Maybe it's just a straight Yule Scepter.
Yeah, or go for Treads Aquila, go for Midas. I think it's pretty much up to Shadow Fiend's personal preference what he goes for, since he does have pretty much all the farm he could want at this point in the game. Dazzle and Tusk are going to make their rotation down towards bottom and potentially meeting up with the Slaughter, but this time around, there's a Batrider close. Although you don't expect him to actually offer much inside the lane, it's not going to be as easy as it was before. Exotic Deer sitting inside this lane. They're going to snowball straight onto him, opening up with the crush. Snowball to follow up. Do they have the damage? No. The Ice Shards are going to prove to be more of a hindrance than a help, as he's able to time walk over those.
That's the second time Ice Shards aren't really helping out aSpera, and up against the Faceless Void, it's not too inconceivable to see why. He just jumps right over them, and Slardar cannot do that. Dazzle, Tusk can all just not do that. So it's a nuke, and it's a very bad nuke at that, but it's just not enough. So they're keeping the Faceless Void off the lane, as I said before, and now he has to go all the way back to the base. He is holding on to quite a bit of gold, 1,600, not having purchased anything, I don't think. Maybe upgraded Poor Man's Shield, but that's about it. Maybe Exotic Deer is looking for a Midas of his own, but it's going to be a lot later than Iceberg's, because that Venge Death gave Shadow Fiend just enough to grab that Midas.
Yeah, and Shadow Fiend's really pulling ahead in the farm department too. Last hits leaps and bounds ahead of pretty much everybody else on the enemy team. They'll look for a gank, coming in with the Vengeful Spirit from the side, Laguna Blade and Dragon Slave are all that they need to get that kill. Can they get anything in return now? Firefly going to be able to buy Batrider enough distance. Slaughter's running in with the sprint. Can they actually catch anybody? However, they're not in range for the degen or to apply to Supreme. Supreme going to be able to run out there, and it looks like all that's going to be is the Shadow Fiend kill.
And Nisha is going to walk right back for where he came. Batrider's actually going to get tagged by the degen. Orb of Venom is there as well. Apathy just needs a Purify to get this kill, and he will do just that. Batrider will be a casualty maybe a little bit later, but a kill is a kill. Meantime, down towards bottom, Captain Love maledicted up. This looks lethal, I think. Yes, it is. 116 out of 80-something, and Tusk just got very easily jumped down in this bottom lane. Faceless Void does not even have Chronosphere yet, but he is still able to put out some decent damage because this Witch Doctor has 2 points in the Maledict. Does do quite a bit of damage.
Even though that kill onto the Shadow Fiend's important, by no means does that shut down SF. Iceberg's still running with a hand of Midas. He has Treads, and will be able to farm up inside the jungle to get his souls back up and running. So if ATN really want to put an end to Shadow Fiend's farming days, they need to apply a lot more pressure than just that one gank. And also, since the Batrider's been jungling up, Omni Knight's been left alone up in this top lane, so he's farming away, and now up to Arcane Boots and Bottle, pretty much all of the sustain that he could want. We really need that Blink Dagger up for the bat before Alternate can really accomplish anything, it feels.
That's probably going to be the point where they apply pressure next to the Shadow Fiend. It's probably going to be 11-ish minutes, I want to say, where the Shadow Fiend is going to be under pressure one more time, but with a lasso, if a lasso should land on the Shadow Fiend, Laguna Blade, and I think Shadow Fiend is instantly dead at that point, if not Dragon Slave LSA to follow up. There's not much the Shadow Fiend can do except for not be in the mid lane once the Batrider grabs that blink, but it's pretty much just a timer that aSpera know about, and they just have to hope that the Dazzle is there. They did teleport the Dazzle in as the first hero once the Shadow Fiend got jumped, but it was just too late. The burst damage of Lina at 10 minutes in the game is insane.
Smoke up from Dazzle and Tusk. Sitting behind Iceberg, they're going to roll in everybody straight onto Supreme, into the Ice Shards, into one raise, and just a little bit more damage from the Shadow Fiend will be enough. Tusk is going to get Maledicted as well as cast on his way up, but it looks like Captain Love is going to be A-okay. And, well, that's going to be all she wrote. Mid lane going to die this time for ATN.
Turns out it's really easy to get these kills if you're going on very soft heroes without escapes. And if they keep doing that, then, man, they're just going to be keeping this Lina down. Yule Scepter is more or less already up on her, although she does need the a little bit more. Captain Love is going to get hit with the lasso up towards top, but there's a raise there to cancel all of that. And, of course, the Purify to keep the Tusk alive initially. So Captain Love making himself look to be some pretty tasty bait, and the Batrider did bite. So it is going to be yet another kill for aSpera, evening the kill score 5-5. And they are slightly ahead in the farm department, so they are going to slowly but surely start to pull ahead, and man, their minus armor hasn't even kicked in yet.
No, it really hasn't. Slarder's been left alone in this bottom lane for the most part, and Hakan's been farming up towards his Blink. Once we have that, we can really start to see aSpera's lineup turn up the heat, as if they haven't already. That top kill was set by an Invis rune by the Omni Knight. Honestly, not sure why the Batrider decided to go. Oh, Chronosphere down towards bottom, catching out Hakan with the Death Ward. They'll be able to drop him low, but not low enough, it seems. With the Shallow Grave, he's going to survive. Turn around. The Apathy is there. He eats a little bit of Death Ward damage, but really nothing happens. Shallow Grave MVP there for aSpera.
What a champion. Dazzle coming in and saving his Slardar's ass. Not much you could do there as Slardar. You get time walked into a Chronosphere, and, well, I mean, you pretty much take your hands off your keyboard, cross your fingers, yell into the microphone to come help, and he actually did get some help. Apathy didn't really do that much there, but it was just enough. So Smiley doing his job, and that's level 2 Shallow Grave. Usually you don't really need extra points in Shallow Grave, but, man, when your ally is trapped in a Chronosphere, you need all the bits of range that you can get. And now they're going to look to crack back for some aggression of their own. They have level 3 shards this time with maxed out Crush. With amplified damage, if they manage to connect on a Snowball, that could be a kill now, even on Exotic Deer, who's been surviving every single time. Here comes the Snowball. Exotic Deer needs to time walk out, but he can't quite get it. Crushed and annihilated. That's one kill. Cast bouncing through everyone. Supreme does come in, has a full combo, but there's the Guardian Angel. Magic damage will still go through, but she's stuck in the air. Purify will miss, and the Crush will miss as well, but Supreme is going to go down nonetheless. They're looking for a little bit more. They see the Witch Doctor. Do they have another Snowball? Yes, they do. It's going to be perhaps a little bit slow, and they don't have enough Ice Shard mana, so it looks like the Witch Doctor is going to survive, but it's still 2 kills for aSpera, and they're in prime position to take a tower following.
In the meantime, the Shadow Fiend's been farming up all the while inside this mid lane, putting pressure onto a tier 1 tower. He does go for the Yules after picking up the Midas, and Shadow Fiend is in a really comfortable place. If he doesn't die in the next couple of minutes, Iceberg's primed to be a potent threat to the enemy team. Yules is going to be really nice defensively against the Batrider and Chronosphere both if he's not caught inside of it, and really just an all-around great item. If he can catch out the Witch Doctor, Lina Venge, and even the Faceless Void, if he doesn't get a lot of backtracks, he can very feasibly get kills.
And even as a supporting item, like one of your allies gets caught in a Chronosphere, just lift up the Faceless Void. No damage output there. Even though the Faceless Void doesn't have that much damage to begin with, that is going to help him just a little bit. He's going to get jumped by the lasso, though. Death Ward is going to be channeled, and Exotic Deer is here as well. Chronosphere to actually hit Smiley so as to secure the kill on the Shadow Fiend. He tried to wind up the Requiem, but he just didn't have enough time. That will be one easy kill for alternates. Supports coming in for aSpera, but they come in a little bit too late. They do make room for Hakon to grab a Blink Dagger, though, so maybe next time that happens, there will be even more reinforcements for aSpera.
Item choice for the Apathy of this game is going to be a Midas on the Omni Knight. I'm not sure if I really like it. I think he's already gotten plenty of levels, and I think a Blinker going into the Ags might have been a little bit better, but we'll just have to see. They should be able to tide themselves over, especially to get a couple of kills with the Crush, as well as the Purify. The damage on to the Vengeful Spirit is more than enough. LSA going to miss, but the Laguna Blade not so much. Hakan is blocked in by the creeps, and he'll be smacked down by the Lina. Supreme can't go for any more, but that's just a 1-for-1.
Not a great kill for aSpera to go for. Supreme is a hero that you don't want to get that additional bit of gold. If you get her a quick Aghanim Scepter, Lina can extend her effectiveness by quite a large margin, or a Blink Dagger to do the exact same thing. And Slardar is a hero that definitely needs the gold. I don't know about this Hand of Midas on the Apathy either. I mean, it's a decent item to have, a Refresher Orb or something like that on the Omnite, or a Force Staff, something simple like that. Can get you quite a bit of value, or even a Yule Scepter on the Omni. And it's not that slow. I don't exactly know when he got it. I want to say like 12-ish minutes, let's say. That's not too bad for any hero.
Yeah, I think it's reasonable. I think this just as a aSpera are going to be pretty comfortable taking it late. Even though they are going late game against a Faceless Void, I think they're pretty well equipped to deal with it. And I think this is more about the playstyle they're going for rather than their immediate plans. Up towards top, looks like they're going to gank the Apathy, and Hand of Midas isn't going to save you here, it seems. Blink and Lasso with the follow-up coming out from the Lina should be more than enough damage. Magic Missile, in fact, they don't even need to throw out anything further than the Dragon Slave. A really clean pickup for ATN.
But at the exact same time, Faceless Void was jumped in his own jungle, double damage on Tusk, helping a little bit out in that kill. They chain stunned him pretty decently with the Crush, with the Walrus Punch, a little bit of stun as well. So overall kill score pretty even, although aSpera looking to make it 1-0 advantage now as they amplify up the Witch Doctor. And Witch Doctor has support right around the corner, but it might be a little bit too far. Urn charged a little bit too late. Hakon gonna grab a free one there. And if he only knew that the Vengeful Spirit was completely alone, he might be going for a second, but it's Hakon to get a couple more kills. 3-1-3 on the Slardar, and man, do you go for a late game build on the Slardar? Usually Slardars are more oriented towards the mid game, Vanguards, Armlets, and the like, but if they're going for this late game strategy with double Midas, maybe they don't go for those types of items.
I think it's still reasonable to go for more of those mid game items on your Slardar, and it'll allow you to tide yourself over into that later game portion. I think it's up to Hakon more than anything. He's pretty comfortable on this Slardar, at least for the time being. They're going to bump into the Void again, or maybe not. He's going to be able to time walk away, spotting him out. If that was nighttime, still, it could have been worse. So they'll still get the Crush onto him, but there's a lot of TPs coming out. The Cronus are going to catch onto 3, just on the edge with the Death Ward. Hakon going to get dropped down. Now the LSA onto 2 with the Dragon Slave. They'll be able to bring down one more. Snowball away over onto the Batrider, going to buy them a little bit more space and maybe a kill with the Walrus Punch Purification. That's going to be the end of Batrider's life. Swap back onto the Apathy. Still has Repel onto him, however. Not the easiest of kills. They're going to settle for Captain Love. Captain Love dropping low, but he does get graped up by the Dazzle. That's only going to buy him a little bit more time. LSA going to connect on the Smiley. They'll get a Purification onto the Tusk. They're still surviving throughout all of this, and now turn onto the Vengeful Spirit. They will lose their Tusk to a Dragon Slave, and now the Dazzle's also going to get right-clicked down. The Apathy's Repel is starting to wear thin, and now another LSA going to connect. Although it gets the Purification off, it doesn't look like he can sear any kills, and it looks like he is going to end up just going down. 2 for 4 is going to be the end kill score.
Although Hakon maybe gonna YOLO it one more time. 1v3, no big deal for the Slardar. Now he's gonna decide against it. Sprint amplification would have been a little bit too much there. Once again, I think aSpera just get a little bit too ahead of themselves. They know that they have a lot of burst potential right now, but again, they're going for this Faceless Void, and he's packing a Chronosphere, and you dive him right next to a tier 2 tower while you already see support coming in for the Void. That is, it takes balls of steel, to say the very least, to actually decide to make that play and then let alone go for it. And Chronosphere was there, they got punished. aSpera, if they were just playing a little bit more safe, they just let the Faceless Void go, they would be in such a better position in this game. They would have saved themselves not only that lost team fight, but also many deaths previous to this. So aSpera, they have their eyes on the correct prize, but maybe it's just a little bit too much. They want to get this kill a little bit too much, and it's ending up hurting them a lot more than it's helping them.
There's a lasso up again for the Batrider, so maybe it's ATN's turn to take a kill onto the enemy's side. They will have a Death Ward to follow this one up too, and anybody they catch out, if they're alone, should be dead. But if there's the support backup coming out from the Omni Knight or the Dazzle, that's where things get a little bit sketchier. Tusk potentially going to bump into the bench. No, it looks like that's not going to be the case, as both teams have just fallen back onto their side of the map to farm up a bit.
Right, we saw the effectiveness of this Dazzle and the Omnite. They're going to have a little bit more healing in the mechanism soon enough. What I'm concerned about for aSpera is the fact that their Slardar actually doesn't have that much net worth. He's only at 5,100, below the Batrider and only above all the supports in the game. And you want your Slardar to be a little bit more where the Lina is, sitting at 7,000, you know, more or less on the top of the net worth chart. As Slardar is a hero that desperately needs that much gold. The Apathy is going to get jumped. Chronosphere going to be used. No, he's going to get stunned up before then. Burst very high, but not quite enough. They put up the Guardian Angel, and with the heal bomb, they'll kill off the Faceless Void. Here comes the Witch Doctor and Lina from the side, though. They have enough to kill off the Omnite, but they don't have enough to kill off anyone else. Hakon going to survive, albeit barely. The heals from this Dazzle on the outside is going to give them some serious value. Now they snowball forward for someone else. I don't know who's targeted. Probably the Lina. No, it's actually the Witch Doctor. There's a Blink Dagger cooling down for the Slaughter. He will use it to... Actually gets hit by the LSA. Now worked down by Supreme, but Shallow Grave will keep him alive, plus that heal from the Dazzle from across the trees. And it's a full 5-man wipe in favor of aSpera. Okay, this game is just all over the place now.
It really is. That Chronosphere, very unfortunate for ATN, catching out a handful of their allies, and once the Dazzle came in to kill off the Void, there was literally nothing they could do. to kill off these heroes coming out from aSpera, and they really do like these sort of scrappy engagements. They don't want to take these the large-scale ones. The fights where they can just slowly pick off individual heroes is where they excel, and they were able to do quite a bit. That's your BKB completed already for the Shadow Fiend, not 1,000 gold on top of that already. He's really starting to pull ahead and getting to a scary point when it comes to farm. He's almost doubling up the Faceless Void.
And that's exactly where you don't want to be as Faceless Void. I think really the star of that last fight, though, was the Omni Knight. Whether by a good read or by random luck, Guardian Angel came out right before Chronosphere and Death Ward. And of course, Guardian Angel says no to all that. You do no damage. Lina did a little bit, but definitely not enough. So it was a pretty well-executed fight by aSpera. Maybe a little bit of luck involved, but hey, that's Dota. When you're talking about Slaughter as Faceless Voids, yeah, you're talking about luck. They're going to jump right into the Roshan pit, and with minus 18 armor on the Roshan with no medallion? Do they even have medallion? I don't know, but they're going to get hit with the lasso from the Batrider, but there's a snowball to get them a little bit more time. Hakon get hit with the Laguna Blade, but he's going to survive because he has that Grave. Cask not quite going to kill off. Now he's going to get purified. He's still surviving, and Roshan is claimed in the end. Hakon going to be chased down by the Batrider, will die in the Firefly. Iceberg, though, going to pop BKB in the main fight. He wants to go in. Chronosphere will say no to all of that. Iceberg is going to waste his BKB charge because of that Chrono, but that Chrono also didn't do anything, and now Exotic Deer needs desperately to get to the right side to buy a TP and get the hell out. Sasu, the exact same thing. I think aSpera did walk away with the Aegis. Yes, they did on the Shadow Fiend, so it's a 1-for-0 and Aegis. That's not too bad for alternate, I suppose.
It definitely could have gone a lot better, though. The Faceless Void attempted an Aegis steal there, but he ran right into a double damage Shadow Fiend. He got hit twice, and then chunked down to hardly any HP at all. At this point, aSpera is still in a pretty comfortable lead, although their Slaughter is falling behind. The Shadow Fiend is making up for that in a pretty big way, and even the Omni Knight, the Midas is starting to pay off for him. I believe that's his mechanism flying out, and from here on out, it's things along the lines of like Aghanims, Refresher, or some extra mobility for him, and well, aSpera are looking pretty comfortable, it seems.
Of course, you can only get those items if you don't die, and Supreme and Witch Doctor are right around the corner from the Apathy. They're going to decide not to go for it, though. They have the Vengeful Spirit coming in. I guess they just think that they're short on damage, and maybe they are. It is a level 2 Laguna Blade, however. That's a lot of damage. They're not going to go for it. aSpera going to stay alive for just a little while longer, and now is about the point when their minus armor is going to fully kick in. They have a medallion, they have maxed out Presence of the Dark Lord, level 2 Amplify, and the Weave is level 2 as well. I don't want to do the math because I'm going to get it wrong, but it's a lot of damage.
Yeah, it really is. I have no idea exactly how much minus armor is going to be applied to the enemy team. I think it'll just be in the middle of the fight where we'll check that, how much they're amplifying it, but it's going to be absurd. Even the right clicks from like Dazzle and Tusk are going to hit really hard, especially if that's a Walrus Punch. Speaking of the Tusk, he might be bumping into Alina very shortly here. Supreme's right around the corner. Oh no, Supreme snowballed in, point blank range. The LSA is going to be off the mark, and now with the Ice Shards blocking her off, Walrus Punch, she turns for an LSA, but not near enough damage. The Tusk is going to survive, and Iceberg gets himself a killing spree.
Fantastic read from Captain Love. They see the Lina poking around a little bit in this top lane, and he could have just as easily been wasting his time looking for someone who just wasn't there, but he got the right read, he got the right direction, and he got the kill for his team. Even drew out a Laguna Blade, which may or may not be relevant depending on what alternate want to do, but they're going to go ahead and push the mid lane, try to get that tier 1, but aSpera are more than happy to trade that for an enemy tier 2. They have Iceberg just firing away, they have Smiley and the Apathy in the back. If there's a Faceless Void or a Batrider who wants to get in on the Shadow Fiend, go for it. He has a BKB, he has an Aegis, and he has like millions of HP worth of healing right behind him. Iceberg's gonna walk right into the Batrider. Yule Scepter, Requiem combination, going to connect, will almost outright kill him with one more raise. They will get the kill. Now chasing forward, Nisha, 2 raise to the face, is gonna get a double for Iceberg. Looking for more, but there's a Faceless Void who just got the hell out of there. Slardar is sprinting in. Faceless Void is way too far away, however, so they're not gonna get that kill, but it's still 2 easy kills for aSpera. They haven't taken down the tier 2 in the top lane, but they'll apply some damage to the tier 2 mid, and they might get that one instead.
A really awkward fight for ATN, really. They were going for this Ancient stack that the Faceless Void desperately wanted to clean up, and he wasn't present at all for that. And he was dropping too low, and they didn't even mop up that amount of gold. aSpera are in a prime position to even apply some high ground pressure, as the Batrider's not up for 15 seconds. Although I don't think this is Rax or anything of the sort unless they take an advantageous fight here. Any damage they get onto the tier 3 tower here is going to stick, and it's going to be really useful when they actually go for a whole committal.
Yeah, sure how much I like this decision to go up high ground. I would have personally just fell back, taken the top tier 2, and then walk away with 2 towers guaranteed instead of 1.5, since you could round the half tower down to 1 tower. So they get one tower instead of 2 towers. But you know what? They still have this Aegis, and they still have pretty much everything that they could want to fight, with the exception being that Requiem. The burst potential onto the Batrider was invaluable in that last little engagement. But if they decide to take a fight without it, it's not going to be hurting them too much, especially if they get initiation on the Witch Doctor. Oh my god, Witch Doctor's in so much trouble. Snowball in. They're also going to go for the Venge and Lina at the exact same time. Supreme going to get bailed out by a Magic Missile. Hakon still surviving though, and they will kill off that Lina very, very quickly. Now going to apply a little bit of damage to the Witch Doctor, but the Chronosphere does go up, plus the Death Ward. That'll kill off the Aegis of the Shadow Fiend. Captain Love will interrupt that with his Walrus Punch. Now Guardian Angel does go up. This lasso is going to do nothing but drag Hakon a little bit closer to his prey. Sasu's going to hit with the Snowball, and they'll take down the Void at the exact same time. Double kill once again for Iceberg. Buyback forced out by the Lina, but what is that actually going to accomplish? Well, maybe they'll get the kill on the Apathy, who's stuck awkwardly in the Radiant base. He's gonna repel TP. He's gonna stick the landing as well. He's home safe and sound. aSpera take yet another great fight, even having to deal with a Chronosphere plus a Death Ward, and they battle through it like champs, and they end up using their Aegis. That's about time for it to be used as well.
The cask in that last fight was almost enough to buy ATN a little bit more space. They stopped the Omni Knight from getting off the Death Ward inside that Chronosphere Death Ward combination. If they're able to do that, I honestly don't think they even get an Aegis off of Iceberg there. And immediately after the fact, aSpera going to go high ground, and this time around, they should be able to get a tier 3 tower. Without the Void and the Batrider, there's no initiation for ATN, or no strong initiation, that is. They could swap, they could Yules into an LSA, but that's about it. In fact, it looks like aSpera want to fully commit.
If you do Yules into that LSA, you're going to put damage on someone, but no kills, because Dazzle and Omninet are right there. Swap back onto Iceberg. LSA is there. He's going to get hit with the Grave, though. Has a BKB as well. He will walk his way out of there, and he should be A-okay. Apathy going to repel himself, purify himself, rather, but he's going to get dragged right back into the clutches of the Radiant. However, Crush onto 3, going to slow them all down. Not going to slow them down by enough, however. Slardar might hit with an LSA right now. He will get hit with it. He has Sprint up as well. A lot of damage to the Hakon. He will be going down. ATN, they're going to look for a little bit more. Smiley is going to TP away. He'll be fine. Captain Love, maybe not as much. He's going to get a blink out, and it looks like he will survive. aSpera trying desperately to go for Rax is there. Granted, if they do somehow manage to destroy him, it's probably game. But now that the Raxes still survive, Alternate have a chance to take some structural damage of their own. It's only a tier 1, but hey, it's better than nothing.
For sure. I don't think that was the right move coming out from aSpera. I don't think it's going to be punished that much either, but still, it says bot ATN a little bit more time. They're going to get an Aghanim Scepter up for the Witch Doctor, which could be crucial if they can catch the Omni Knight and the Chrono, really. If he's not inside the Chrono with the Blink Guardian Angel, that can completely negate that item. But if they're able to get it off, it could be devastating. But just as important as a Butterfly up for the Shadow Fiend, he's completely stacked at this point.
This Witch Doctor Aghanim Scepter can be the item that can completely save Alternate, or could just do nothing. If we look at the heroes who have the possibility of interrupting it, we have Blinking Yule's Shadow Fiend, which maybe he doesn't exactly want to save his Blink Yules for, but hey, he can do it. Slardar can do it as well. And the Tusk can also blink into Walrus Punch, and the Tusk is the type of hero who you would want to save that type of interrupt for. I mean, you're probably not going to get much better than that. So the Witch Doctor, if he does get perfect positioning, the full channel of Death Ward, yeah, it'll annihilate aSpera, assuming no Guardian Angel. If not, if one of these many tools that aSpera have to cancel that channeling comes out, then Alternate, they just run out of damage. Their Faceless Void is doing quite a bit, but he's just not durable enough to actually convincingly do the damage that he can do.
Yeah, and I don't see any time in the near future where he is going to be durable enough. BKB probably going to be the next order of business for him, or maybe he fully commits to the Glass Cannon build, but either way, it's going to take a long time before he's actually taking up. Currently only sitting on effectively the Mask of Madness, Maelstrom, and Power Treads for his damage.
And he's going to have to fight very soon as well. Alternate are pretty well equipped to take a fight around this tier 2 top lane, with the exception... actually, no, they got rid of the Dire Observer that was on the high ground, so they have pretty good vision right now. They have to worry about a snowball in, but that's probably not going to be aSpera's best course of action. aSpera's team, they're definitely not going to be too happy to assault towers with everyone from Alternate defending. They definitely want to take engagements more in the middle of the map, or more in open areas, not in this one isolated lane.
They spot out the Lina in bottom, however, and that's going to give them the go-ahead to take this tier 2 tower for free. In fact, the Faceless Void's also there, although I don't think its Exotic Deer actually showed. They'll take a tier 1 for a tier 2 tower trade. By every metric, this is worth it for aSpera, and they could even defend. They'll glyph up the bottom tower, look for the Blink Crush, catch out Exotic Deer. Do they have any follow-up, however? The Yule Scepter LSA is going to be off the mark because of the BKB, and now Exotic Deer is going to get blown up, down for 64 seconds as they chase for a little bit more. Lina going to run off to the sidelines as they lasso up the Apathy, and the Death Ward's going to be channeled. Smiley, can he get the Grave off onto himself? No, the Death Ward's doing a decent amount of damage, but not enough to save the Batrider, it seems, as he gets hammered down by the Omni Knight. Meantime, the Shadow Fiend finds himself a pretty free Lina. BKB, for some reason, on the SF. They'll try to come in from the sidelines. TP canceled by the Crush as well as the Snowball. This should be a full 5-man wipe as they mop out that Vengeful Spirit as well as the Witch Doctor, and that's going to be a godlike spree for Iceberg and a huge victory for aSpera.
Iceberg walks out of there with full HP. He was under no pressure the entire time. The chain stuns of aSpera once again winning the day. Faceless Void looking for a Chronosphere there, and that type of positioning is exactly the type of positioning that aSpera want to fight from, where they can close in on all sides, where they get the initiation off on alternate. Batrider's lasso was there, but pretty much did nothing. That's not how you want to use your Batrider's lasso. And, well, Guardian Angel was used only on the Omnite, even with that less than stellar ultimate usage from the Apathy. It was still more than enough because Hakon and Iceberg were able to get to the sweet, sweet center of the alternate's lineup, being that Lina. Bringing her down means that alternate pretty much run out of damage. Once the Lina and Faceless Void are down and out, it's all over for them. So aSpera clean house with a full 5-man wipe. Roshan timer, look at that, it's only in 30 seconds. And with their minus armor, Roshan won't last long.
No, definitely not. Although they're not going to be primed to go for a high ground push immediately, by the time that they do go for it, Iceberg's probably going to be sitting on a full item completed. On top of it all, Slaughter has his BKB, and then they'll have an Aegis. This is looking really scary for ATN. I don't think anything less than the perfect fight for them is going to be enough, and really finding that perfect fight is going to be very difficult, mostly reliant on aSpera making some mistakes.
Yeah, aSpera have so many insurance policies, though. Like, Omni Knight, he is the insurance policy hero. That's what he does. Dazzle, pretty much the exact same thing. Even a blinking Snowball at this point, though we haven't seen it yet this game, can completely bail out all of aSpera. If you just blink in, Snowball a bunch of your allies while they're in Chronosphere or something, suddenly Death Ward is awkwardly being channeled to do absolutely no damage, and Captain Love is feeling like a champion. But right now, aSpera, they're going to grab Roshan in a matter of seconds. That's the Aegis for the Slardar. They have yet to take Raxes, and that's going to probably be the hardest part of their game, going up against a Chronosphere and a Batrider. But they have pretty much everything that they could possibly want right now, including a Yule Scepter almost completed by Dazzle. That's a lot of farm on Dazzle, man.
Yeah, it is. After going for so many small items, too, this isn't like a straight Yule's Rush. He's been the beneficiary of a lot of kills, and has been involved in a lot of fights, and most importantly, Smiley hasn't died very often. 6-3 and 7, the Dazzle's performance this game has been pretty good. We'll have to see where aSpera are going to look for the push. It looks to be going through top lane. If they get the barracks there after winning a fight, taking mid lane as well is going to be pretty darn easy.
Yeah, the items that I would like to see aSpera look towards now, Desolator, Assault Cuirass. First of all, more minus armor is never a bad thing, but also all the minus armor that aSpera have right now doesn't affect buildings, and that could be a little bit awkward when they're actually trying to take down structures. But even if they don't go for that, it'll just take a little bit longer to beat down those buildings. They're going to go straight for mid, tier 3 tower already dead there. And hey, look, a blue damage of windness for Iceberg. That is not a fair amount of damage.
No, not really, especially when you factor in all of the minus armor. He's going to be hitting for upwards of 500 a hit, especially if you have the
I think with the minus armor.
Oh yeah, or even more. Blinking Crush, they'll find Supreme, and my goodness, the Lina's only going to be able to survive because of Yule Scepter. They pull Iceberg back deep behind tier 4s, but they cancel off the Witch Doctor ultimate channeling. The Requiem is going to be channeled by Iceberg, not doing all that much, except for slowing the auxiliary heroes. Nisha is going to get crushed out of a TP, and everybody's just falling so quickly. Even though the SF was so far out of position, he just doesn't care. He's going straight for the fountain because he can. He has Guardian Angel on him. Why not? Iceberg going to get repelled up. Buybacks from the Venge and the Witch Doctor, but Venge is going to die back here with the raise. It's a triple kill, and now they look for the Witch Doctor. The Snowball is going to delay a little bit longer, but they're going into the base, whether they want to or not. Straight on to the Witch Doctor. He's blown up, and with the Grave, it's a rampage for Iceberg, and GG called out by ATN, and for good reason too. There was nothing they could do.
I don't know if you could end the game with much more style than that. It's very, very hard to end the game off of an ending like that. You get a rampage, you get a fountain dive, you're only missing a romance subplot, and then you would have had, you know, an Emmy winner right there. But aSpera, they have a lot of damage. And for alternate, I don't really know it wrong. They had to get the initiation off every single time, but at a certain point, you just can't do it. 17, 3, and 5 from aSpera. Ended up getting a lot of hits, but I really think it's the Dazzle that won the game there for aSpera. You know, did some work for aSpera. The Graves came in time, the heals came in time, and alternate just couldn't get enough damage output. But they have another chance, guys. This is a best of 3, and we're going to be moving on to game 2 in just a matter of seconds. So don't go anywhere. I'm Mikelorus, been joined by Grandis, and we'll be right back for game 2 between alternate and aSpera.